to Podcast Fandom, the official podcast for ProjectFandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Kaylee.
And I'm John.
And we are back finally to discuss Ranking of Kings. We're going to be talking about episodes 19 through 21 of season 1. And, you know, at one point watching these episodes, watching episode 21, in fact, I looked at Kaylee and I was like, this could just be a one and done show.
Mm-hmm.
The way this story is shaping up. I don't know. Is it based on a manga, Kaylee?
I don't think so, but I could look it up.
Yeah, don't spoil yourself or anything.
I know how to navigate the internet.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, you're talking to Gen Z over
here. Yeah, I was just about to say. And I got offended because I'm like, is this to imply all the times you tell me not to spoil myself is because you think I don't know how to navigate the internet?
You think the internet is your ally? I was born in it. Molded by it.
Right? Oh, don't quote the old magic to me, witch.
Oh my god, it is a manga.
Is it? Is it ongoing?
I don't know, but it's a Japanese fantasy manga series.
Okay.
That started in 2017, I think.
Okay.
That's 15 volumes so far.
That's... Oh, no, that could be...
It's not a lot, really.
Yeah, I was about to say that could be... is the episode... If you're doing like 5 chapters, maybe? Per volume. Anyway, off track. But before we dive into more of what we're here to actually talk about, because this is going up on the free channel next week, premium folks will get it a week early as they have been. I want to put it out there, just a couple of things, because of personal issues. You guys know my dad passed away, and the schedule for the month of February was kind of, all over the place. There is a lot coming in March, some free stuff and quite a bit to premium, as well as quite a bit more video reactions on our time travel tier over on Patreon. So when you listen to this next week, we'll just be getting into it, a very, very busy month of podcasting. So make sure you go to projectfandom.com and check the schedule. Just a reminder as well that anything that goes up on the free feed also posts to our YouTube, and we've been getting quite a bit of new YouTube subscribers. So just know that those podcasts are placed there really to give people just one more place to be able to listen to our shows, and another place for hopefully people to find our podcast. But we're not very active there. All of the posts, the comments are, they have to be approved. I check it when I go to, when we post a new show. So it's not that frequent, it's not like constantly throughout the day, like I'm checking my email or anything. So as always, the best place to get in touch with us, to recommend shows, to leave feedback for the shows that we cover is through the email address feedback@projectfandom.com. At the end of the podcast, I'll talk a little bit about, some of the stuff that we're going to be covering, but for right now, let's start talking about what we came here to talk about. We are weeks and weeks behind on this, but we are also almost done. John pointed out right before we got started that we have one more podcast covering 2 more episodes. It's been a lot. I didn't realize, I guess because we've been covering it like so sporadically, just how many episodes it is. As a matter of fact, when I went to rewatch 2 of the 3 episodes that we're going to talk about today, I was shocked that we were at episode 19. I went right to 15 for some reason. Like it just, like everything from before that was kind of like a blur. But I was like, wow, this is almost like a full like network TV season. 22 episodes, 23 episodes. Yeah. But again, it was in 2 cores. Did I say that right, Kaylee?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was split up. But anyway, I just can't believe that it has been so many episodes, and that we've come this far, almost done. We left on a really big cliffhanger. Accidentally. I do remember that.
And then this is like, it just opens right back up from that cliffhanger.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't leave you hanging for long.
So, just full disclosure, I'll let Kaylee tell on herself if she so chooses, but if I'm not mistaken, Kaylee and I first watched the first 2 of the episodes we're going to talk about, episodes 19 and 20, the day before we were originally going to record. So that would have been like February 1st. And then we only watched 2 because we had also, I think we'd watched a lot of TV that day. I think we'd also watched some Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah. So we had to watch like 3 episodes of that. And those episodes are just a little bit longer than these. Like these are like 22 minutes. And I feel like Full Metal Alchemist might be closer to 30. But anyway, so I got tired and I was like, let's just watch the last one tomorrow before we record. And then the next day my dad passed away. And I had notes for those 2 episodes, and today I rewatched them, kind of like almost background noise, but also just like double checking my notes, which I'm so glad I did. And then Kaylee and I watched the 3rd episode for the first time. Kaylee is less prepared. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I'll let her tell on herself if she wants, and then you tell on her. like you come right up to the edge of telling on her.
Just wanted to remind her where I was going with that.
I mean, it's nothing new. I never took notes, and I never rewatch episodes, really.
Like you get that from your mom, so you get it honestly. Not taking notes.
Shut up. Yeah. So it's somewhat relatively fresh in my head for tonight. So that being said, let's give our overall thoughts on this little final bit of the Ranking of Kings. I have a lot to say. John, I'll start with you.
Okay. This show is so good. Like it's really like not just like good, like fun and enjoyable and all that. Like legitimately, like the writing is really good. Like reaching to like the fight with Ouken, where the big 4 comes in, and then it like I found myself going like, yeah, like all of this makes sense because we've learned about these characters to the point where like, yeah, it makes sense that okay, we've seen Ouken is a threat. He's a very like deadly threat. But then when the big 4 combine together, it makes sense that they could overtake him. But then when he's remembering his brother teaching him and training him, and then you're like, oh well, his brother, who's that? And it's like, oh yeah, his brother is the one who trained Boji. So we know that Despa is a really good teacher. So like it's just like the layers of character development that we've gone through to get to that point to where you genuinely are like, I don't know what's going to happen because like these characters have all been built up to a point where anything could really happen.
Right.
And that it was just so intense. And that's just the one like that one part.
Anything else, or is it Kaylee's turn?
I don't know. That was it. I mean,
okay.
Overall, it's just they're doing a great job.
Okay.
They did a great job, I guess, because it's already over.
What about you, Kaylee?
So I want to say when we started this episode 21 today, we sat down to watch it together, and you asked me, "Do you remember what happened in the last 2 episodes?" And I said no, but I will remember when we start the episode because that's usually how it works for me, and I did. I was because we started watching. You were watching it on Crunchyroll.
Yes.
And then it wouldn't work for some reason, Crunchyroll, when we wanted to watch the next episode. So I switched over to Funimation, which was what we were using before to watch it to begin with anyways. But when I pulled it up on Funimation, it automatically started from the end of episode 20.
Yeah.
And so I saw the king putting Ouken in the little rock egg thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and then
go ahead.
And then we started the next episode, and then it's like one thing I forgot about this show in general was that it doesn't do exposition at all, which I kind of love. Like, it really just shows you everything, and instead of telling you everything. But also, and I think like that's cool and all, but there was just a lot of points during this episode where we kind of had to pause it and look at each other, and we were like, what's the reasoning behind this?
Right? Like, a couple of times I was like, why do they want to kill him again?
We were kind of really confused. And so that's when I wish there was a little bit of exposition,
right.
But I still love it.
Yeah. Because it's the, oh God, I forget what it was, whoever is supposed to have said it, but I just posted it the other day, but there's that meme. It's like, oh, I know what it is. It's from Civil War, the Marvel film, and I think Falcon says it to Spider-Man. He's like, I don't know if this is your first fight, but there's usually not this much talking. And then that cuts to anime fans, like, with big eyes, like, I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Right. Because, like, there's so much of that, like, and you guys know I don't have to tell you, but that whole, monologuing in the middle of a fight, or even like talking through what you're about to do in the fight. I'm going to boost my power to 94%, and then I'm going to...
That was something that, like, it was so wild to me, because it felt like they went into a completely different show when it was Boji fighting Boss. Because, like, Boss does start doing the inner monologue thing, and then they have all the different action that I don't remember seeing on the show before, where, like, Boji's running off the wall.
Right, and you know what?
Running from the club and shit, like, looking like Attack on Titan.
I was just about to say, this felt like it went there because it's the finale, so to speak, like the big thing that we've been building up to. And I guess, like, because that was another thing where, like, they go to fight and then it's his giant size. It's not, what's his name? Daida. It's not Daida's body. And I was like, yeah, you kind of had to do that because nobody wants to see him fight Daida again. This is so much, but it felt like that kind of big fight at the end of, like, a Marvel movie, So therefore, like, all of that sweeping stuff made sense. Although it took me a second to get what it meant when they kept flashing to the club cracking. Like, the first time, I was just like, I even said to Kaylee, I was like, what is that? And I think at first you were like, I don't know, but you were, like, really intent watching the screen, so we just, like, let it go. And then when it became more clear, I was like, oh, is it the club breaking? And you were like, yeah, that's what I was thinking it was. I was like, oh, because I was thinking it was Ouken cracking out of that fucking rock. I was like, y'all, I'm not paying attention. Ouken's about to be a problem again.
Oh, that really would have gone into another show, and that show would have been called Dragon Ball Z.
Is that it, Kaylee? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I do think this is a really good show, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm still kind of blown away with the art style of it. That it's like very fairy tale comic book looking. Yeah, like children's book looking.
Yeah. To the point where, do you remember the scene when Miranjo goes inside the demon or whatever? And,
yeah.
And those red swirls, and I paused it and I told Kaylee, I was like, you know what that looks like when you have, like, a stage play, like, not Broadway, but like a school play or something, and you have water, and they cut it, it's like swirls to look like the waves and stuff, and it's just cardboard painted.
Like the Ember Island Players.
The who? Oh, yes!
Yes, now I remember.
I was a second late. Yeah, but yes, with the art style, that reminded me like of a children's book, the way those swirls were. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the art, before you go, Nina, I really thought it was really well done. The way that when you see Boji's mom, that like she looks like Boji.
Yeah, yeah.
And like that's a really stupid thing. Like, but like I don't know. It like you could tell like, oh yeah, they're related.
Yes.
No, like yeah, somebody drew it. Of course, it looks that way. But like it just, I don't know.
I felt like I feel like when the very first time we saw her, we even said that. I feel like Kaylee and I looked at each other. I was like, she looks just like Boji. Yeah, I'm loving it. Like Kaylee, there was like, and I don't think it's us. I honestly think it's how long we've been away from the show, you know, because we don't watch it every week like other stuff we cover. So there were times when, again, I was just like, why are they trying to kill him? And I was like, and then we each, and him being the king, boss. And like, I paused it and I was like, why is this happening again? Like, and then Kaylee and I went back and forth and we listed like 4 or 5 really good reasons, like why they're trying to kill him, but we just wasn't sure which one was their motivation.
And then, I mean, he does at one point, like, then kind of explain himself. He's like, you know, in case you don't remember, he does kind of say, like, you know, this was all my fault.
Well, yeah, that was one. I don't remember that, but that was one of the things. We were like, well, this is all his thing because they made that deal and, you know, to come back and him feeling like, oh, yeah, I do remember. But yeah, because he says it a couple of times when he's like telling Miranjo, like, it's his fault she's the way she is. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I guess. But anyway, yeah. So
anything that gets us to the climax.
Right. But yeah, I was a little confused in some stuff. But again, I just think it's because we've been away from it for so long. And I'm so glad I rewatched it because, you know, if I know we're going to record fairly soon, after taking the notes, I can do very vague, like, you know, like an overall sentence, and not have to write like, and then he hit him with this, and then they moved over here, you know. But because I'd been away from it for so long, all I had was King versus Ouken, and I didn't remember any of the details. I didn't remember him putting him in the rock.
You didn't remember the biggest detail,
right? That's what I. So if I hadn't gone back and watched, if I had just started with that, like I'd have been so lost in some stuff. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. And again, like I said to Kaylee when we were watching it and a few minutes ago, I felt like at one point that this could just be it. You know, this could just be the fantasy fairy tale story that it is, beginning and end. Because as it stands right now, it just feels like everything and everyone is everyone's been like fleshed out and there's closure for some, and I'm assuming more closure coming. So unless something really big and horrible happens, I can't imagine where this story could go.
Right. But at the same time, they do, like, they've set up a universe where, they could write more stuff into it if they wanted to, I guess. Because, like, the ranking of, we barely even hear anything about the ranking of kings.
Yes.
And it's the name of the show.
Yeah.
Right. But, like, in one of these, I forget which, I think it was the third one, they, like, cut to Dessa, and they mentioned, you don't want to take the number one spot? And I was like, number one what?
Yes.
It was like, oh yeah, the ranking of kings.
And I was like, is it just like, because I remember when, and we could just start talking about the episodes, but I remember when which one is he? Dessa?
Yeah, the mouth one.
Yes, the mouth one. I remember, like, way back, not way back in the beginning, but quite a few episodes ago, when he was basically plotting to take over the kingdom. And it was like, he didn't, right? Like, it was his guards that were going to escort Boji and Kage home. But they were also planning on
overthrowing the kingdom.
Right. So that kind of went away a little bit, like, or at least it hasn't been talked about. So then in these episodes, when Despa, that's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tells Boji, this is it. Well, no, first when the king in Daida's body is going to fight Ouken, and Despa's like, okay, it's you can let him handle it, Boji. And in his head, he's like, best case scenario, they'll kill each other. And I was like, why are we rooting against Boji's dad? Like, and then he was like, or at the very least, we can sneak attack him with or something if he kills Ouken. And that's when I paused it and I was like, why are they trying to kill the king again? And I thought, oh yeah, that's right. There was like that whole, overthrow his kingdom plan that they don't seem to talk about anymore. So I don't know. Maybe a little bit of everything, but, all right. Are y'all ready to talk about these episodes?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 19 is the last bastion. A prior episode ended with Kage swallowing Ouken whole, just turning into this giant tidal wave of a shadow. And then this was like, again, John, this whole thing, well, Kaylee, also you've seen, this whole section feels like something that would have been taking place in like Endgame or Infinity War, like a big Marvel, where like all these different fights are going on, and at any given moment you're thinking you just lost a major character, the way this played with the sword, where he's just like, hey, Boji, and then he starts making them noises and the sword comes out. That was terrible.
Yeah. I feel like 19 for me is the best episode so far. Just in terms of everything of the whole season. Okay. Because like it just overall like, and that, I think it is kind of like that, where it feels like a culmination, like a climax of things that we've been building to. So, I believe that is like the cold open, and when it returns, this is, I think, the aftermath of, and see, this is the problem with like being away for so long, the aftermath of those people, the Huma people, I think, I couldn't remember which ones were which, but the Humas turning on the Yakuza, right?
It wasn't. It was like the word Yakuza with another letter in front of it.
I have a G written here. Gay. Yakuza. Anyway. Yeah. They were begging this god for help, saying that the Homa people, the Houma, had ruined their crops and done all this horrible shit and fled. And then the god was like, and I have the name written here, so I don't know if it's correct. Chabishin. He's like, those crops look fine to me. And they're like, what? And then he's like, all right, fine. You've called upon the gods for help or whatever. And as he's leaving, he says to his guards, Dottie's burning something in the kitchen.
He said that?
Yeah. Now Nico's going to lose his mind.
Because he has traumatic experiences with fire alarms, apparently.
And he says he wants to, like, basically he was going to help those Yakuza, I'm just saying that, people, to use them. He was like, we can enslave them. And he was basically just saying stuff like, it's not surprising that the Homa people did what they did, that the power, the age of the gods is basically has passed, because people, it almost sounded like with American Gods, right? Where people are like believing in them a little bit less. And he was like, people's knowledge have expanded so much that they turn to us less. Mm-hmm. And so that, like, that whole little bit that they threw in there, I got what was going on, but I wasn't clear, like, those two groups of people, that's those people, right? That's Miranjo's people that were attacked. That was like a flashback, right? Mm. No?
What's that
whole thing with those people appealing to the god, and then
it was a flashback from
post Miranjo's people being, her town being attacked by the Homa people.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know.
Okay, so wait, okay.
I don't have that part in my notes. So
all right.
You paid more attention to this than I did.
All right. But wait, I just want to be clear. So at some point, and I don't know, like, I'm assuming like not a lot of time has passed, like normal amount of, like, Miranjo's not like older than she looks, right?
I always thought she was.
Because she's like, I'm trying to remember the flashback scenes when the king is explaining how he came back and he found what... Okay, maybe that was the aftermath of that. He saw what the people had done to her, and he went berserk. And
he killed him, yeah.
Yeah, he killed them.
Yeah. The whole town, even like the woman who's like, please just spare my child.
He's like, kid.
Nope.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm trying to remember like the two names. Remember the whole thing was that there was one group of people, they were just natural haters.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and they got taken in by the good people.
By Miranjo's people.
Yeah, and then they ended up turning on the good people because that was their nature, or whatever.
Yes,
because they had been like wronged by so much in the past that they couldn't accept good things.
Right. So I'm thinking when that scene after the cold open begins, and it's these people in a town that looks like it's been through some shit, and their crops are all fucked up, and they're praying. They're not praying. They're begging this god for help. And at first, he's like, no, everything looks fine to me. And then he's like, all right, fine. That he would help them. And those people were the Yakuza people. And in the process of them, like, begging for help, they said something like, the Homa people fled. So I was thinking, the Homa people are responsible for all the shit that we're seeing. And those were the people who attacked Miranjo's mom. And... now, my question is, do you guys remember when the
Probably
people,
not.
the people who physically harmed Miranjo?
Uh-huh.
Those were the same people who betrayed her people, right? Her own people didn't turn on her, blaming her and her mother for what happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that was the assumption that I made.
All right. I don't know. I watch a lot of TV, especially a lot of anime lately. And I'm just like, I thought that was a thing, but I wanted to double check. Okay. So we are of the understanding then that they killed her mother and then they did all that stuff to her. And then the king came back, found her like that, went berserk, killed everyone, and then traveled with her, like, on his shoulder. Like, he took her to be healed and then traveled with her. And I'm trying to remember, do they show her aging with him?
Yeah.
Okay. So
see, that's the part that, like, the time and aging on the show, like, I don't really understand because for the longest time on this, I wasn't really sure if there was a relationship there, like, in terms of them loving each other.
Right.
Like, because I did feel like Miranjo loved Boss, but I wasn't sure if it was
right. And we don't get that until he begins telling the story to Bevin.
Right.
And the thing, and he's like very dear to me. Yeah.
Right. So like she does seem significantly younger than he does, but like, is it because he's a giant?
Right. That I'm not quite sure
tell.
of. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
So,
and like, does that mean that she's, like you said, older than she looks or older than she seems?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Like, I was thinking
really
like
sure
a Red Woman Game of Thrones type thing. Like, is she like some ancient? Is she like a witch now? She just doesn't age, or what?
Right.
Okay. Okay, so then Boss, speaking of the king, still in Dida's body, obviously, is talking to Bebin, and he tells them what the villagers did to Miranjo, the stuff that I just said, and then he slaughtered them all. And like you said, even one woman, what was her exact answer when she was like, why they did it? She said, we just wanted to know what something felt like, or something. She had some weird answer for why they did.
I do not remember.
Oh my god, you guys are terrible.
All right, you didn't write it down either.
Well, I mean, I've got so many notes here. Okay, so he takes her to.
I remember the scene.
Okay,
I don't remember exactly what she said.
Right, and then that's when she was like, "At least spare my kid," and then he was like, "No." Mm-hmm. So he takes her to this doctor to be healed, and then keeps her by his side. Right.
Yeah, like, this guy was like Merlin somewhere.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, save her. And I was like, wait a minute, who's this guy? You should be like friends with this guy more.
So after Ouken busts through Kage, he stabs Boji, which
that was traumatizing.
It very much,
yeah.
I remember distinctly a few weeks ago when we watched this the first time, like looking at Kaylee and being like, did they just kill Boji? Like, completely stressed.
Just like he was like whimpering.
Yeah.
And then Ouken stabs down off camera and he stops whimpering. And it's just like, no, this is not good. This is not supposed to happen.
And then we're in this, like, I mean, I typically don't like stuff like this, but the show is so good, I'll accept it. But they're in, like, this kind of, like, afterlife place with Kage.
Oh, man, I love this.
And it's like, Kage is basically about to cross, like, this river to his mother who's waiting on the other side. And the reason this bothered me is because I wasn't sure if at first this was something where this is like in his head, you know, like somebody experiences this trauma and they see someone, you know, who's passed, and it's like they're having the person say what it is they think that they would say, right? Or if we're supposed to believe this is actually the spirit of his mother.
Well, no, this is anime, so like you just go into it and assume,
it's
this
real.
Is actually the spirit.
So and that's how I was taking it. So then I'm like, why are you telling your son to walk into the light? Like, why aren't you telling him to row his boat back the other fucking way? So it was just,
she misses her son.
But it came off as a little creepy, and like I didn't know if I could trust it, because as a mother, I would not be saying, "Sure, Jack, come on over." I'd be like, "Take your ass back over there and live some more life." So it was just weird that. And then we see by the time like he's made his choice, she's like, "Yes, you're right. You must go live." I'm like, "Yeah." Selfish.
I loved that so much though, because I love like him, like, because he's so like blinded by wanting to be with his mom again, and then he's like he realized like the flashing of Boji and him remembering, wait a minute, no, Boji, and then like him like tearfully having to make that choice of like not going across the river and saying, I've got more to do over here.
And then his mom was like, get her done. I was like, why she start talking like that? He's like, I got more things to do over there. And she was like, well, get her done. I was like, okay. And Miranjo stops his boat, right? Isn't that what kind of trigger? Okay. But he chooses Boji. He does get to talk to his mom. And then when he goes back over, he's like, oh, I recognize your voice. Why did you help me? And even she's not sure why she did it. And he's like, all right, well, seeing as how this is all your fault, I don't even know if I should be thanking you, but it's okay. Thanks. At the heart of it, he's so simple. Like, he's so sweet.
And like that, like, I love that, like, that healed her inner child. Mm-hmm. I love that shit. All this stuff here, all of this sequence that you say that you don't like, I didn't
say I didn't like it. I didn't say I didn't like it.
No, I mean you said that you typically aren't a fan of
I'm typically not a fan of this stuff. And again, because, you know, it takes a minute for you to place into context what exactly is happening. Is this something? Mm-hmm. And then you have like Despa and Boji, because they were all touching, brought into it. They were like that Nene Leakes gif, like, why am I in it? Like, why I gotta witness this shit? And they're literally just like witnessing an execution, right? Like, there's like one-way glass. They can't participate. They have no sway. And Despa was like, this is where we are. And if this happens, and I was like, how do you know so much about
I thought that he was like, oh, I'm dying. I'm dead. I'm never going to get to spend my money.
Yes, that's right. Speaking of which, like you said, her inner child, Miranjo, in that dark place with Daida, is suddenly, the mask breaks and she's like, I've been saved. Peace. She's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Thanks for keeping me company, but I got to go. And then she says to him, and soon, and then she's gone. He's like, and soon what? What did that mean? What was she going to say?
Never know.
But she, Miranjo, sees, what's her name? Sheena?
The Boji's mom?
Yes. Across the way with her mom. Yes. All right. So then back in the real world, I guess, Ouken is drinking from the snakes.
Yeah, that was so, like, I was like, what is he doing?
Oh, God. The noises, all of it was so wrong.
Because like, he's killing everyone, and then these snakes show up, and I'm like, all right, well, it's going to kill Mitsumata, or whatever. And then I was like, all right, well, I guess that's going to happen. And he stabs him, and he's like, okay. And then he starts drinking its blood, and I'm like, what's going on?
It was so disturbing. Prior to that, though, Bebe, you know, still in the dungeon talking to the king, he's like, cool story, bro, but I got to go. Because word is your son's getting his ass kicked. He's about to die. So I got to go up there and help. So Bebe comes in and stops Ouken from killing the snakes, or snake, whatever. And then we get the big four.
The big four.
Now, Kaylee, tell everyone what you told me about things like this.
I just love it when there's like groups of characters that are like really strong and they're just called the big, however many number of them there are. It's like, I don't know, it's so simple, but it's like my favorite thing ever because it's like, it's cool.
Yeah.
So we have the big four. Dumbass fights first. And as he's fighting first, he goes up against Ouken first. He, like, again, we've been away from this for a minute. I knew his ability to heal with, like, that Terminator, like, almost like Tar-like ability. But when he's fighting him, he's like, okay, fine, I'll just break your sword or break your blade or something. But then the blade also did we know the blade does that? Or was Dumbass surprised just because was that for his benefit or the audience, basically? That Ouken's blade could also do that?
I feel like, and again, it's been like a month, but I feel like we saw his sword break in a previous episode. I could be wrong.
Okay. So when
like in the town, I think maybe when he was fighting.
Okay. Well, somebody should have told Dumbass.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
Dumbass was really like, I'm about to do this thing. You know what it reminded me of, Kaylee, from Attack on Titan? The one of the female Titan episode arcs in the first season in the woods, and I think it was like Mikasa or whatever didn't know about the hardening. And it's like we knew, the audience knows that this isn't going to work, that the Titan can harden. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we'd seen it in the prior episode, and so Mikasa's like, I got it. And then the hardening happens. She's like, what the fuck? Anyway. So when it's clear he's not going to be able to beat him, finally, they're like, let's jump this nigga. And I was like, finally? I don't know why y'all...
Taking turns.
Yes. There was a moment where one of them hit him or did something to him, and he like shook it off and like laughed. And it was so disturbing, the laugh. Do you guys remember? Please tell me.
Yeah, I remember his laugh.
Yes. Because I think I said to you, Kaylee, when we first watched it, I was like, that was his nigga, you hit like a bitch moment. Like, didn't faze him at all.
He reminds me of... Nina, do you remember the movie Puppet Master?
Vaguely.
Where
like a long time ago. Yes.
There's the one that wears the trench coat and has the knife. Anyway, that one, like the leader of the puppet.
Okay.
In the type of like a white masked face. He reminds me of that because he's like dead eyed.
Yes.
Because he's a metal face.
Yes.
And
it's
like
terrifying.
the laugh. Yeah, the laugh and like the way he walks, like especially like when he's injured, just looking like, I don't know, like a dummy, like a ventriloquist.
Yeah,
dummy.
yes. So Dorsha, is that his name? Dorsha? He ends up beating him just like a lot, like just pulverizing his face, and it's weird because it looked like how characters are drawn when they do get like swollen eyes, or like it looked all lumpy and stuff, but then it just went right back to normal. I was like, okay, you guys are not going to win this. This is getting pretty scary, especially when, like you said earlier, John, he uses like the remembering his brother's training,
that was
to turn the
good.
tide. Yeah,
it was so good because you're like I said, like you watch where it just escalates so well to where like, oh yeah, one of them can't beat him by themselves, so then they join together and then they beat him, but then he remembers the training.
Yes,
and it's just like you're just like, your mind is blown.
Yes.
Because like I said, you remember that, oh yeah, Despa is a great trainer. We know this.
Episode 20, Immortal versus Invincible. Sheena and Miranda's mom face off against Miranjo, and Boji and Despa are still watching this, and she is very much not sorry for what she did. And again, it's important to note that as she's talking about everything she did, including making the deal with that demon, being put in a mirror and all that stuff, Boji is hearing all of this. And Sheena reads her for filth. She was like, look at you sad ass. She's like,
you couldn't even cross if you wanted to.
Right? Yeah. She's like, so my son's pretty strong. You couldn't even kill him. And at one point she was about to like call her something. She's like, you got a mouth on you, and then the mom was like, Miranjo, this isn't what you want. But yeah, she's basically very much like, yes, this is exactly what I want. And this is where Despa tells Boji that he's going to have to be the one to decide Miranjo's fate. And he shows Boji her memories.
Yeah, because
Boji starts crying.
To see them.
Yeah.
When they came into this.
And isn't this where he asked him, will you be able to kill her? And Boji's like, nope.
And Des was like, aha, yes, that is exactly who I thought you were.
But then later, he's like, you gotta kill her.
yeah. Despa is kind of like the guy who says whatever needs to be said.
Yeah, I was like, what happened? I was like, I know I didn't read that wrong, did I? Because he says here, she's beyond help. Like, she's made her bed. She's happy to lie in it. So, Ouken kills everybody, basically. Somebody had a Matrix, no, not like this moment. Who was that? Do you remember, John?
No, I don't remember that.
God damn it.
Because it was so cool. Like this badass shot, they come back to this fight. Mm-hmm. And like, oh yeah, he's holding Ouken's head. And then this one's holding Ouken's arm.
They got him in pieces.
And this one's got his foot. But no, I don't remember that where someone said that.
Yeah. And I just laughed because I will always think of that scene in the movie. They cut to Daida, who is shown the truth, like his dad's, right? Thoughts, memories, right? He sees what he did, and how he made that deal, right? With the demon. He's shown the truth. And how, no. He's shown Miranjo's truth. That's right. He learns how she was using him this entire time to bring back Boss. That's right. And he was like, all this time, I wondered what type of woman you were.
Uh-huh.
That's right. All right. So I'm a bit confused on this. Who heals the captain? Does he heal? He heals himself. Does he like stop the bleeding or something? But then he ends up getting stabbed almost immediately again.
I don't remember that, but I do remember that. Yeah, he stops his own bleeding.
And then I have Captain heal / get stabbed again.
yeah. He basically like I think even one of them says that he's like he's healed, and then he gets stabbed.
Yes.
I don't remember who it is who actually says that, but someone says that, and then right after they say it, he's stabbed again. So,
the king shows up. He slaps everybody around.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody. The snakes, Boji. He just knocks everybody around. And then he heals everyone. And I'm like, did we know he could do that? Or is that...
I think that's Daida.
That's Daida. Okay.
Because he's in Daida's body. Because he's healing Sun.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
God, that was so good.
That was good. Because then you see, what's her name? Healing starts running over, and then we never see her again.
Yeah, she knows it's Daida. She's like, Daida?
Mm-hmm.
There's only one scene of her running in episode 21, and we never see her in the entire episode again.
Nothing.
She's still just running.
So
they wrote her out of the show.
Basically, Judy Winslowed her ass.
She went upstairs and everything. But I like because like that kind of mates like her healing ability and I guess Daida's healing ability kind of feel like the Force, where it's just kind of like something that when you have it, you can feel it when someone else uses it.
I mean, I assumed it's not a family thing.
No, I just think it's a healing bloodline thing from whatever family she's.
That's what I mean. Like,
oh yeah,
like because everybody can't do it, right?
It doesn't seem like it.
Okay, so I mean, so he can only do it because she passed it down to him.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's hereditary for them. I don't know if we're supposed to believe that it's only them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it might be something that like various people, like if you have enough midichlorians in your body.
So once everyone is healed, they're literally frolicking. So happy
through the flowers.
Yes, because he brought spring. He
troll in Central Park over here.
He really did. And then we get Daida versus Ouken.
God, it was so good.
It was really good.
It's so funny too. Like it wasn't like it was funny in its brutality.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like kind of like a Mortal Kombat fatality, where it's like it's so unrealistic.
He just swallow you whole and throw up your bones.
Right. Like I think that's something that like the guys who made Mortal Kombat have talked about. Like they wanted to make fatalities something that was so unrealistic that people wouldn't be like, oh yeah, we can go do this.
Right.
Like, they wanted it to be like cartoonish.
Right.
And that's kind of what this ends up feeling like when he's like just so quickly hitting him with the club and turning him into a mush on the ground.
Yes. And then he's like studying it and thinking.
Experimenting.
Yes. He's like Sherlocking it. It's like nobody talk. He's in his mind palace.
Right.
And he's like tapping the ground and they're like, what are you doing? He's going to heal again. And then he like he makes this hole in the ground with this club and he reaches into it. And I'd already seen it again, but rewatching it, I'd forgotten all of this. And when he pulls out that giant rock, that giant boulder of earth, I was like, this is so ridiculous because he looks so tiny. And I just forgot how ridiculous it was. And so he basically, he smushes Ouken into a ball, right? And then puts him inside a hole that he made in that rock. And then covers that hole with pieces of rock. Right?
Yeah.
And that is, I was about to say supposed to hold him. I mean, it is holding him because that's the last we see of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not super strong. So, like, he can't break out of that rock.
Got it.
So, one thing that I really liked, and it's not something that I think the show, like, explicitly said, but it was something that just kind of felt like was being implied, and maybe I inferred it, was that when, I forget who it is, if it's Despa or somebody who says, he's swinging that club faster than we can see. And then they show Boji watching.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, Boji can see
Boji can see it. That's right.
But,
I remember that.
Boji can absolutely see how fast. Like, and I love that. Like, that's some shit that, like, I mean, not to bring it up again, but Dragon Ball Z, that's one of the cooler things that happens with Dragon Ball Z, and I feel like it's like a trope within some anime. Like when like you can say like, oh, this is a person who is so strong and so fast that nobody can see them, and then that's how you can kind of telegraph that one other person is just as strong or fast as them.
Yeah,
it's like you can't see it, but we can see what's happening right now.
Yeah,
and it's badass.
And as this is going on, well, a couple of things. I think the first time he goes to hit Daida or the king and it doesn't work or something happens, he literally hops back. Like, and it reminded me of like an animal, you know, that will like hop backwards to like distance itself from whatever they perceive to be the threat, but not book it, right? Like he was like, okay, this might be a bit of a problem. I did like that. And as this fighting was going on, though, Despa is just plotting again how they're going to kill the king when this is done. And he wants to be able to heal his brother, right?
Yeah, like it was so... I'm sorry, Kayla, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing.
All right. I mean, because, like, it's so messed up that... Because, like, he like Ouken is Despa's brother, and so like when he's like moaning and crying, trying to get out of that rock, like Despa just has to listen to it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And like and I felt like they did kind of like they showed that, right? They showed that like Despa was dealing with that, and I like that.
They cut to it, I think, in the next episode too. Again, him just thinking about being able to get his brother out of there to be healed. Okay, so the next episode is the swordsmanship of a king. Miranjo tells the king what she did while he was gone. Like, she's like, I've done unspeakable, terrible, horrible, no good things.
He's like, say less.
Yeah, right.
no bug. I feel like this scene, like they kind of like telegraph that the action here is going to be a little different than we've seen previously by the camera angle that they put, like, I don't know, the camera or whatever, but like the illustrated camera underneath the chair.
I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like underneath the chair, and like on one side of the leg you see like where Boss is walking away, and Miranjo's mirror is in the other chair on the other side of the leg, and it's like this distorted view, and it's like, what the hell is this? It's a completely different show. I don't recognize this at all.
So shit's like, about to go down.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, this recognize that this is different.
And he's basically like, I'm probably. Is this where he tells her like he might be joining her soon or whatever? But he wants to make Boji choose between,
not just Boji, everyone.
Oh, really? I thought
he was asking everyone, yeah.
And forgive me, because I distinctly remember at this point when we were watching this, I got a present in the mail. It was really cool. And I posted about it, and I was trying to thank the person who sent it to me. So I was like talking to her, and I had started a reply. So there was like a couple of times where I had to like, Kaylee, what did he just say? So basically, they had to choose between which king they wanted then, right?
Yeah, because he was like, if you're gonna, like, either you let me be king, like I want to be, or if you try to fight me and take Daida's body back, then I'll just kill all of you.
Right.
Like, I'll kill anyone who stands against me, basically.
And everyone stands against him.
Yeah, it was so good. Like, I honestly teared up. Like, because, like, it was really impactful, like, having not only Boji remembering, like, how Daida had stood up for him in the past, and so he was like, oh man, like, I guess I should fight for Daida, because, like, I can't just let, like, my dad take this away. And then, like, choosing to do that, and then, like, everyone one by one, the big four, just be like, no, I'm gonna stand here too, and then, like, just getting in front, and then when they show Boji, and he was crying because he was like, I didn't think anybody cared about me.
Now,
like, and that was kind of like where he began in the beginning of the season, was that he felt like, obviously, like, it was like people walking through. He was walking through the streets, people making fun of him and stuff, and now to this point where, like, he has these people standing up for him. That was great.
Kaylee, do you remember how I would complain about the crying protagonist?
Yeah, especially with My Hero Academia.
Yes, and even with Takemichi in Tokyo Revengers. But this is how you do it, and it's not annoying. This is how you do it, and it's, you know what it is? Because he cries at moments that you would expect a person to cry if they have a soul,
Especially a child.
Right. But, like, but at the same time, though, it's like he's a child, but they're expecting really big, like, they're literally giving him the decision whether or not he could kill someone. They're asking him to lead a country. And he has, like John said, these moments of, or had these moments of doubt. And you see it when, I want to say the first time is when, or the one that I remember, is after he gets pushed down that hole or whatever. And Kage is like, I've been with you the whole time. I told you I'm by your side till the end, that whole thing. And then he's like, but I think the reason it's not annoying, like you said, it's a child, you would expect him to cry. But like it's like, it shows that he's a good person with feelings and that he's not afraid to be seen crying, if that makes sense. Whereas you have characters like Deku, who's like, he cries for everything, and you're like, shut up, there's no reason
but
for you to be crying right now.
In My Hero, they definitely make it a running gag that he cries way too much.
Too much, yeah.
Because they always over-exaggerate his crying.
Yeah. And even in, I guess, Tokyo Revengers, they call him Crybaby Hero.
Yeah.
I just hate it, though. But not here. I don't hate it here. That's the whole point.
And I feel like it's part, like, they've done it. It's part of the great writing too, like the character development, where, like we've been shown and told everything about this character's life, that like, you know, you like kind of like his mom was like the one in his life who really cared for him, and like his dad wasn't really. And like and we see here he's fighting his dad, you know, like that kind of stuff. And then like you see like when Daida was born, then healing kind of pushed him over to the side, you know. And then, I mean, like I said, walking through the streets, and no one in the town respects him, even to the point where he like doesn't even try to stop Kage from stealing all of his stuff. Like he just wants to have that interaction with someone. Like this is a person that you would expect to cry, especially in a moment when he's being shown that these are like people are standing up for him. Like it's never happened for him before.
So everyone's on Boji's team, and he does face off against his dad. And again, what we mentioned at the start of the show, it's done in a way where he's he basically like tightens out. And we see his like true form, his giant form fighting Boji. And it is shot very, like John said, it's very Attack on Titan. It's like running along the walls, and it is. And he was honestly like, fuck this infrastructure. Like he was like, he meant it. He was like, I will burn all this shit down. If you guys try to oppose me, fuck this, fuck that. But Boji wins because Boji the whole time, this was like some, I feel like you see this is like in like kung fu movies where it's like you don't realize the whole time they're hitting like these vital pressure points. Like you think they're not landing any licks, and it's just them on defense or getting their ass kicked. But then really what they were doing was, you know, with one like tap you on your big toe, you're gonna like have a heart attack. But instead he just breaks the club, right? Shatters it. He defeats him. And it's important, I should note, I think I said it earlier, but I'm not sure. He's not at full power either. The king. Remember? Right. Yeah, he wasn't at full power when he started fighting Ouken. He's like half his strength. So if that's half his strength, but still.
I enjoy the way that Boji, like, it wasn't even hard. Like, it wasn't even difficult for him to beat King Boss. Like, he just did it. Even though, like, Kage was like, whoa, don't do it. Like, I was wrong. But Boji was like, nah, I got this.
I got it.
And then, like, he did. Like, it was, like, over so quickly. And I really like that. I like it's such an anticlimactic thing on paper, but like watching the whole thing, as we've said multiple times, like the power, how powerful Ouken was, and how powerful the Big Four are, and how like that it made sense that fight was elongated the way that it was, and then to see Boss beat Ouken so quickly and easily, and then so just to have Boji beat Boss that easily, it's like, yeah, Boji is like the most powerful person on the planet.
Mirror, mirror on the wall already told us this.
Right?
That he was...
Right, and so this just kind of like shows us that.
So what was Boss gonna do here? Was when he was like crawling over to Miranjo.
He was gonna break the mirror.
Break her, and that would kill her, correct?
I think so, yes.
And then
it would have been the same thing that Boji does later.
Okay. And Boji stops him. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This part killed me. Fucking appease. I was like, wait a minute. Everybody was like, King Boji, I am behind you. I stand at the... And then he was like, wait a minute, wait. Please don't kill her. I was like, will you go sit down? And Kaylee and I, this is one of the things that we paused to talk about because we couldn't remember if they said explicitly what it is she did for him that he is so indebted to her. I vaguely remember them being in that... I don't know if it's I think it's underground, whereas all those like statues of stuff and something like him and a griffin, like
yeah, he was like fighting something and about to be defeated, and she like saved him. But like I don't think we.
Oh, we never. Okay, I was gonna say I feel like they don't. I don't know. And then she says like I gave you a gift or something. I feel like a few episodes ago. So I
saw it as like she's the reason he has his job right now with the king. Because I think that whole backstory was like, him.
Was that his job interview?
Yeah, it was like a test. Yeah,
the king sent him to the mirror.
Okay, got it. So, well, why didn't you say that earlier when I was like, girl, why is he so...
I thought you knew all that, but I just thought, I still thought we were missing something. Like, I thought it'd still be more than that, like, literally a matter of life and death. Like, that she saved his life,
right.
Not that she gave him his courage.
That's right. We actually said that. I was like, did she cure a disease for him? Like, what? So then...
One thing that I liked during the fight with Boss and Boji, where Boss was realizing that he had been defeated, and he was like when he was walking back to Miranjo, and he's kind of like having his inner monologue, and he basically is like, what are these feelings of pride I'm having for my helpless child? Like this person that I've never cared for in my life.
Yes.
I saw him as this weakling before, and now like that was I don't think he actually said those words, but that felt like the vibe that he was having was the kind of like, what the hell, like Boji was pretty badass.
Yeah, I like how he has effectively won over every character on the show. Had a positive influence. So yeah, he ends up... I'm trying to remember. Boji breaks the mirror, right?
Yeah.
And
it was like in like one of those, you couldn't even see him do it. Even he did it so quickly. I felt like,
but the intention wasn't. I thought the intention wasn't to kill her. That he was going, because like the whole thing with the demon seemed like a surprise.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew about that. Well, there was a point where Boji said something to her, and she's like, "You want to save me from the demon?" Like, I feel like that's what she said.
That's right.
Yeah,
so
right before he broke the mirror. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean? Because he breaks the mirror, which I thought meant not saving her. I thought, you know what I mean? So what was he going to do Is this what he meant to have happen?
I think the question is, what is he going to do? Because I feel like that's what it feels like. Because the way that episode ends with the demon basically being like, "Welcome to here. You're never gonna leave." I was like, "Yeah, someone's gonna help her leave there." Okay, like that's what it felt like to me, at least.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Yeah, because then like the demon just like appears, like he was there the whole time. He's like laughing. He's like, "Ha, you guys almost got your asses kicked." Like I'm like, where'd you come from?
Like it was so much to the point where like I was like, okay, he's gonna show up and try to take her soul, and then Boji's gonna just fight him. But no, it can't be that simple.
No. But yeah, he swallows her up, and she's in hell, and it's like terrible. There's like he's over there eating something nastily.
It looks like he's
sucking
eating
up
other souls
yeah.
and then like spitting them out only to eat them again.
Oh.
And like you'd hear the people whose
Scream.
souls they are.
Yes.
They're screaming like, "Oh!" Ah!
And I was like, "What?"
Eternal suffering.
And I was like, "What the fuck is this show? How we get here?"
That legitimately, like that is kind of like what like this. It kind of feels like, okay, the boss and Boji thing kind of is the climax, but we got 2 episodes left.
Yeah,
what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And so I guess we gotta go to hell.
We're going to hell. So yeah, like we mentioned before, we have 2 more episodes left, right? Yes. And we'll be recording for those, I believe, next week. I still have to move some stuff around on the March calendar because it is pretty packed. I tried not to get too far behind this month, but you know, it's unavoidable. And so some things had to just be pushed to March, and there's still some shuffling to be done. Bear with me. Looking at the schedule now, we have The Mandalorian coming up for premium folks. Well, first let me say this, get this part out of the way. We're doing video reactions for our time travel tier. We've been doing them for The Last of Us. Donnie will be editing videos this weekend while Kaylee and I are at the movies. What are we seeing, Kaylee?
The Demon Slayer movie. I totally forgot it until like just this second.
See how she is? So he'll be working on those this weekend, but we are also, we decided to do video reactions to some new stuff that's coming in March, including The Mandalorian. And again, this is, the video reactions are only available on Patreon at our time travel tier. We do plan on doing video reactions that are, for shows that are free, and, you know, open to the public. But I have to say it's so much like low stress doing it this way because it doesn't matter, like copyright stuff doesn't matter because the videos are like unlisted. Do you know what I mean? So the videos are unlisted. You can only access them through that tier on Patreon. So it's so nice to not have to worry about that. I see reactors complaining about that all the time, getting videos taken down, getting strikes on their channel, and I just really don't want to deal with that shit. But anyway, we'll be doing video reactions to The Mandalorian, the new part 3 of the final season of Attack on Titan, which drops tomorrow. We're doing video reactions to The Last of Us, like I said, and Yellow Jackets. And
the second season?
Yeah. I was about to say, I don't think Kaylee knows this because Donnie...
I didn't know we were doing video reactions for Yellow Jackets, but I knew you told me that it's coming back soon.
Yeah, that's in a few weeks. So if you're cool with it, everybody gets to see your pink hair.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. That's
She's like, yes, I want to be seen. So all of that will be coming this month on the time travel tier or Patreon. Also for time travel tier only, there were some shows we were covering for that tier, and with having to postpone stuff this month or last month, we are late in finishing those, but we will be finishing them. They're on the March schedule, The Peripheral and Let the Right One In, even though I'm super disappointed that Let the Right One In was not renewed, but The Peripheral was. So that's good because we were enjoying that. What else? Then premium, just a regular premium tier. Hunters, which I think might have to be pushed back to April because there's so much stuff going on. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Attack on Titan. We're finishing... Ted Lasso Season 3 is going to premium. And our new K-drama that we are beginning now that Flower of Evil is done is The Glory. You guys will be getting that this weekend. What else?
And then we're doing one podcast for that?
Yeah, we're doing one podcast for part 1 of The Glory, those 8 episodes. We're just waiting for Donnie to watch, I think, the last 2. So I figured we'd record like on Sunday. And then when part 2 drops on the 10th, we're going to be covering those like one episode at a time.
Are they dropping one episode at a time?
No, they are not. You're going to have to learn how to practice some restraint.
No!
Oh, no.
I want to see those people get what's coming to them.
I don't know. You know what? Because, all right, I'll tell you this. Because March is so packed, we can just binge it.
Yes.
And do one podcast. We can do that because also coming.
You're so easy, Nina.
Note that this makes my life easier actually, because now that we're going to be doing video reactions for Yellow Jacket as well as the podcast, but Shadow and Bone returns, and that's for free, and that's me and Sarah. So like I said, March is definitely packed, and so doing that with The Glory, I like binge watching K-dramas with Kaylee anyway. And doing that with The Glory will be actually less work than having to record, 8 podcasts. So, all right. I don't know. Maybe we'll split it. Maybe we'll do 4 and 4. Suck your teeth. We still have to choose the next anime that we're doing after this. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that because I meant to mention it at the beginning and then I was like, okay, I'll do it at the end. And then I forgot again until you just said that. So I was going to tell you to remind me to post the poll. Maybe I should do that tonight, like right when we're done recording. Put the poll up on Patreon to pick our next anime. Well, first I need some suggestions. And what I said was Kaylee can throw in a couple of titles.
You said I could pick 2.
2. Okay. And we'll have to figure out a way to pick 2 from everyone else. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know if I'll just let people throw suggestions out there and then people vote by liking the comment. Or what? And then that will be the next anime that we cover.
Everybody just says suggestions, and then Kaylee picks those too.
So I'm excited. But anyway, so that's it. Thank you guys for listening. We should be back next week with the finale of Ranking of Kings.